back to where we left off before. Okay, we were talking about the client billing schedule, setting those up, and we had gotten most of the way through the client billing setup. We were talking about the billing type, and we had just
Hmm.
finished going over the standard invoice. Okay, the other option for a billing type, an invoice type, is going to be the debit advice. Now, the debit advice by default is the debit advice via internet. Okay, the other options here, all of the other options, really all they do is put in a specific liability date onto the invoice. Debit advice via internet is the default because it will then allow you down below here to determine how many days after the day that you're creating that invoice becomes due. Okay. The debit advice also indicates to the system that you are going to electronically collect the invoice amounts from your client. And as such, it will then create an ACH file in the e-payments so that you can submit that and collect electronically. Okay?
Okay.
So that's really it. The debit advice via internet allows you to specify the due days for your invoices, and the other debit advice options simply put a hard-coded due date of your choice onto that. Okay, so whichever is
Okay.
going to be most advantageous for you. Now, in the future, when you have clients that no longer are with you, then you can select inactive services terminated. And what this will do is it will hide the company in question from the menu items in the back office so that you don't have to see them all the time. You can always come back and change that to something else if you need to get into invoicing or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. So once you have selected either a debit advice option or standard invoice, the next item we have is discount rate. Now this goes back to the billing items that you created previously where you checked off the discountable button. Okay, this
Hmm.
will allow you to put in a decimal in here acting as a percentage, and it will reduce any of the billing items that you've elected to be discountable by that percentage rate.
Okay.
Okay, if not, put a 0 in there. Okay.
Okay.
Invoice due days, again, this allows you to select how many days past the day you're creating. So if we did 3 and today I was creating an invoice, the invoice would be, or the debit advice, whichever, is going to then be due 3 days after today's date. So it would be due on the 16th.
Okay.
Okay. And then finally, we have the impound status. So depending on the billing type that you've selected, either a debit advice option or a standard amount, the standard amount you want to select pre-note. Okay, that indicates that nothing. It's going to be a standard invoice. You're going to submit that to your client and collect via cash, check, or charge. If you have selected one of the debit advice options, then select deposit. Okay, and then below that, fill in the bank information here, the bank name, the routing and account number, and the bank phone number. This is going to be the target bank that is going to be debited when you submit that ACH file.
Okay.
Okay? So for debit advices, click deposit, and then put in the client's bank account number that you intend to debit for those invoice amounts. And then any client notes that you have down below. And those will appear on the invoice when you create it. And that's it. Okay. Any questions on filling out the data for the client billing setup?
I don't think so.
Okay. So once you do, update. And then what's going to happen is that information is in place. And then you can move to the next step, which is clicking on the arrow, the expand for the company that you just finished. We'll open that up, and it'll actually let me get to a better one that's not quite so prolific. There we go. That's better. Okay, so we're going into the billing schedule part of Clavier Tuning. Okay, so I have filled out all the information on the page, which we just saw. You will then click on the arrow to drop down the menu so that you can add all of the appropriate billing items you want to appear on this client company's invoice. Okay, so this is going to be blank when you first go into it, but just click on the add new schedule item and you will be able to drop down the product and service list box, and from the master list you created, you will begin adding in the billing items. It is going to automatically bring over the unit price that you set up for the code, but you can override that here. Okay.
Okay.
The optional indicator on by default. If you leave it on, which I suggest you do, that will then allow you to edit the total for that item on the invoice. Should you uncheck this, then what that's going to do is it's going to read the unit price as a flat dollar amount. In this case, it would be $1. Okay? So I always like to have, and that would be something that you set up for maybe like a delivery fee that doesn't ever change. Okay?
Right.
And so that would then be on the invoice, couldn't edit it, going to be a dollar value. Otherwise, I like optional on just because I like the ability to make a change wherever necessary. I like that freedom. May never use it, but I want to have it available.
Right.
Okay? And then you just click insert, and that's it. And then that will add to the billing item. So just continue that until you have all of the invoice items that you want on this client company's client billing schedule. So what this does is it allows you the freedom to customize each and every client's invoice to tailor it to exactly what they need.
Okay.
Okay, and that's it. Once you've done that, your invoicing is set up and you are ready to go. So are there any questions on the client billing schedule section?
Not right now till I start doing it.
Yeah. Was everything rather clear? Anything nebulous? I want to make sure that you are comfortable.
No, I mean, it makes sense what you're saying and what we need to do.
Okay.
It makes sense. So.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. That's all I can ask for. All right. So once you have the client billing schedules ready, the next thing that we're going to take a look at is invoicing. Invoicing is going to be done when you have completed your payroll or payrolls for the companies for the day. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to invoicing, and that brings us our invoicing menu. Okay, the first thing we have is create, edit, print invoices. This is where you are going to see all of the outstanding invoices, what process they're currently in, make any edits necessary, and create new invoices based on the payrolls that you run. Okay, so what you want to do is after you have completed your payrolls, we can select the company that we want to create an invoice for. Let's do check cash. We'll do check cash finance. Okay. And when I drop down this arrow menu, this shows me all of the outstanding invoices that I have created for this company. And we're going to see the invoice number. We're going to see the date of creation. We're going to see the due date, how many days out it's due, the amount of the invoice, any balance against that invoice that's still remaining, and then the status of the invoice, either a pending, meaning it is a finalized receivable and it's waiting to be collected on, or an open, which indicates it is in its quote format, meaning that it is still editable, it's still there to be looked at and changed if you needed to. Okay, you can also delete anything that is currently in the open phase. Okay, that means it is not its final form, so you can get rid of it as such. And you can also click on the printer icon here to bring up a report of what that document looks like. And here you go.
Okay.
All right. So when you want to create a new invoice for your company, we'll click Create New Invoice. That's going to bring up another little pop-up menu or pop-up screen, and it's going to show you all of the details. So this is now going to populate your invoice with everything that you have elected to be on the invoice. Okay, and now you can see a whole bunch of stuff on mine here. You can at this point feel free to make any edits to descriptions if you've allowed that, as well as to totals for the or quantities for the items on this menu. Now, most of these will be auto-calculated for you, but you can make any changes here that you need, and you'll see those changes affected under the total. Okay. Once you have made any changes that you want, click Save Changes over here, and then that creates that invoice as an open item. So we'll cancel here to close that screen out, and here is my 1266. That is the newest invoice that I just created, and as you can see, it is in quote form. So I can, here we go, open. I can take a look at all of this. I can look at this in-house, or I can actually send it to the client to have them review it before you make a final document out of it. Okay. And of course, with the export drop-down menu, this is exportable to Excel, PDF, and Word as well.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you need to make any edits, we can drop down the expand, and here you have all of the items that are going to appear on your invoice. Okay, so you can now, if you wish, drop down the edit menu and make an edit directly to change the value of that line item here. Okay, and just update to save it. Okay. When you are ready to turn the invoice from a quote to the final receivable, let's close this out. What we'll do is, for the invoice number in question, we will click on the edit button. That's going to bring us up to our screen where we can see the invoice number, the dates, and so on and so forth. And we have a create bill button. So when you are ready to take this from its quote form to its final form, simply click create bill, and you're ready to go. And there we go. It is now pending in its final format. Okay? So that means it's ready for you to either print and send to somebody, or if it's a debit advice that you've created, it will have created that ACH file in the e-payment section. Okay? So I can open up this report and see my final document here. Now, notice up top we have the notify button. If you recall, when I was directing you to set up the client billing schedule detail page, remember I told you set up the email address for your contact at that company. When you click on this notify button right here, an email will be generated to that contact email stating that their invoice has been complete, and give them the bottom line numbers.
Okay.
Okay? And that's it. That's all. And then you're ready to go on to the next company to create an invoice and so on and so forth. So it's rather straightforward and easy.
Okay.
That's all there is to creating and editing invoices. Do you have any questions on those processes?
No, not right now.
Okay. Reprint current invoices. This will allow you to click on any company that have invoices paid in full or other statuses, and you can find those documents here and reprint those as you need to. And it gives you all the details, the invoice number, the date, the due date, amount, balance, the status of those items. So you can simply press the print button, and that will allow you to reprint that invoice. Cash receipts and refunds. Cash receipts and refunds is going to be utilized when you have standard invoices assigned to your companies. This is going to allow you to apply the monies that you have collected against the specific invoices. Okay, so let's go ahead and drop down the menu for the company. And this is going to show you all of the invoices that are pending. Paid in full, we see paid in full, pending items here. So when you collect money against invoices, when you are ready to apply those funds, we will click on edit. And from what we have here for invoice 518, what you want to do is, if it is a check, put in your check number, or if it's a different payment, click the or and drop down the menu and select one of the other options. Maybe it was a cash payment. Okay? Put in the day received and the amount received here. And then once you've done that, press update, and you will apply that amount of money to the invoice in question. Okay? That will then remove this item from the list, make it paid in full, as you can see right there, and you're good to go. And that's all there is to that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you have created a debit advice, the debit advice, when you create and post your ACH file, once you have posted it, the system will automatically apply those monies to the invoice for you. So you will not have to do this for companies that you have debit advices created for. Okay, as soon as you post, and I'll show you this in just a minute, as soon as you post the debit advice to tell the system that you've successfully sent it to the bank and it's on its way, the system will automatically post those monies toward the invoice in question.
Okay.
Any questions on cash receipts or refunds?
No.
Okay. Create notch debits. We will leave that because that is going to be under e-payments, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then finally, void client invoices. This will allow you to void an invoice that's been paid, that's had money paid against it. Let's see, do I have anything out there? I don't. Let's go to a different one. Here we go. Okay, so this is going to, I've just dropped down for Check Cash, my company, my demo company here. I can see all of the completed invoices that I have available. You can scroll through, date, due, amounts, status, so on and so forth. If you need to void something that's been finalized, simply find the item in the list and click on the delete arrow, and it's done. That's it. Okay, and then you are free to create again.
Okay, yay, I'm in.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
I just got the invite.
All right. Are there any questions on voiding client invoices? That's really straightforward.
No, I think
Super simple.
that's pretty easy. Yeah.
Simple. Okay. Well, then let's go to, actually, let's jump over to payables instead of e-payments. I'll leave e-payments for last. Payables.
Okay.
This is where you are going to find all of the taxes and the third-party payments that you've elected to create in the back office based on the payrolls that you've run. Okay, so under Edit Accounts Payable, the first tab that we have under the submenu, this is where you are going to see all of those payments. Okay, so you can scroll through. They're going to be ordered by originator, so you'll see them by, in an ASO environment, you will see them by client company. You'll see the date, the due date, the payee, the transaction number, and the amount of those elements. Okay, so what you want to do is monitor this area and find the items that are coming due that you want to make payments for, and you simply want to create you want to put a checkbox next to the items that you want to pay. Okay, once you have selected those elements, click the update button, and that makes these items available in the print payable checks box. So basically, this is selecting the items that you want to make a payment to. Okay. Once you have selected the items and clicked update, we can go to print payable checks. Now this is going to show you the bank accounts that are available to create those items under. So if you have a PEO, you're generally going to see one. You may see multiples if you are doing this on the client side where you're using their bank accounts. So it will show for each individual client bank account here. So what you simply need to do is from the list, click on the edit button, and that's going to allow you to click the create button, and it will produce your payments that you've selected. Okay, and we can scroll through. We'll see all of the elements here, and I probably don't have any. I don't have any transfers, what the difference between this and the transfer, obviously the amount is going to be 0, and you're going to have a non-negotiable electronic transfer splashed here, much like a direct deposit advice. But these,
Okay.
in this case, are all hard copy payable checks. So what you would do is simply export this to PDF, print it directly to your check printer, just like you would a regular payroll. Once those checks come off of the printer and everything looks good, you're going to click the confirm button, and that is then going to tell the system that you have successfully created these items. It's going to remove them from the edit accounts payable area so that you can't accidentally click them and create them again. Okay, and that's really all there is to it. Okay, now if these items were electronic transfers, you could print those off to regular white printer paper for your records, and then navigate to the website necessary, log in, and make the payment there. Okay. The next area we have is going to be reconcile all checks. So for the for the companies in question or the enterprises, we have you can put in the start and ending check date, and let's see if we can generate. See if I have anything out here. And here we go. So this, based on my check date range, here are all of the unreconciled payable checks and paychecks that I have created. So I can then simply put check marks next to the items that I want to reconcile, click Save Changes, and those will then be marked as cleared reconciled checks. Okay?
Okay.
So very, very simple. And this does allow you to see all checks, so it will give you both payable checks and paychecks. On the company side, under administration and reports payroll, you'll have something very similar, but it will only show you paychecks.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
And then finally, we have void payable checks. And this is pretty straightforward too. Anytime you need to void a payable check, you can simply go through the list, find the item, you're going to see the date paid, the check number, and the amount. You can click on the edit arrow to get more details to make sure that the item is indeed what you want it to be. And then just go ahead and put a checkbox in the void item here and click void. That will then, just like a regular paycheck, void that element, and you can move forward from there.
Okay.
Okay. And that's all there is to payable checks, really. Edit accounts payable allows you to select the items that you want to make payments for. Those then go to print payable checks, so that based on the bank account that is used to create them, you can print those items out either as hard copy checks or electronic advices for your record. Reconciling all checks allows you to see for a date range any paycheck and or payable check so that you can reconcile those. And then void payable checks allows you to make a void wherever necessary. And that's it.
Okay.
Okay. So the last item we'll take a look at is going to be e-payments. And this is going to be where you create all of your employee direct deposit ACH files, as well as your client debit ACH files. And as you can see here, we have NACHA client debits. We have a tab for NACHA employee deposits. We also have post features for each one of those, post NACHA client debits and post NACHA employee deposits. Okay, so the creation process for the employee direct deposits and the client debits is the exact same process. So I'll show you here. Now we're in the employee deposits. So we can see my ACH originating bank right here. I will see the total number of items waiting for me, as well as the total number of deposits. So the first thing you want to do is click on the expand button, and this is going to show you all of the direct deposit files organized by batch, meaning are organized by settlement date. So all direct deposit files for your companies are going to be lumped by the due date, which is the check date. Okay, so you'll be able to see everything that you have created by submission date. Okay, So you'll get to maintain these items, make sure you see what's due, what's coming up. When you have something that you want to create, you can select any or all of these to create in an ACH batch file. Okay, so I'll just say I want to create all of these direct deposit files, and I'll be able to see the number and the total deposit for each of these entries here. I'm going to select the first 5. Let's just say those are the ones that you want to create, and I'm going to click export. Okay, now that is then going to bring up our creation page. So you simply want to create or follow the instructions on the screen here. The first thing that we want to do is click generate report, and that is then going to create our direct deposit information right here. Okay, so from here, what we want to do is just click inside one of the blank areas so that your cursor is in there, and we want to Control A, okay, to select all. Now we want to Control C to copy, and then we'll go and open up Notepad. And now we're going to Control V to copy the information right here. And you can see those 5 elements, and here's our file. Okay, these are the 4, these are the 5 Nacha files that I wanted to include in my batch file right here. So what this does, it allows you to it allows you to combine as many direct deposit files as you like for multiple days in one entry, in one batch file. So you only have one submission to make to the bank. Okay, that saves you transaction fees and so on. It makes it really, really easy to get all of your direct deposits for multiple days in one file to send to your bank to submit to NatPay. Okay, so what you would want to do here is then just file and save this document on your desktop and upload it directly to the NatPay website, and you're done. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now, this module was designed to be done at the end of your business day. So every day, at the end of the day, after all of the payrolls have been run, come in here and view what has been created, mind the dates. When you want to create one or more files at the end of the day, then just select those options, export, follow the procedure that we just did. There's your Nacha file. Okay. Now, the same thing holds true with the Nacha client debits. This is the same process. I'm going to see my Nacha originating bank, click on expand, and just like the direct deposits, I am going to see every debit advice that I have created for my companies. So go through this list, click on the debit advices that you want to collect electronically, click export, same process. Generate report, Control A, Control C, open up Notepad, paste it in Notepad, save it to your desktop, and upload it, and you're done. Okay? Okay. So how does creation of employee deposits and client debits seem to you? It's pretty easy and straightforward, and allows you very, very quickly at the end of the day to create multiple entries in one batch and submit those to the bank.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a very simple process. Once you've done it once or twice, it goes by really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, you're able to see all of the amounts. You can see those here. Once you get all of this into NatPay, obviously NatPay is going to have a number of control reports so that you can verify what's been created, what's been accepted, to make sure that everything is going as you expect. Super simple.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the last part of the process, once you've got your employee direct deposits out and your client direct debits, what you want to do is come to the post feature for each one of those. So I'm going to go to the post-NACHA employee deposits. What you want to do is drop the bank, the collapse or the expand box down for the bank. Find the files that you sent off, and those were the first 5. So these are the direct deposits that I created in that first batch and theoretically sent off successfully to the bank. I'll select those very same files, click the post button. What that's going to do is it's going to tell the system that you have successfully submitted these files, and it will remove them from the e-payments area so that you can't accidentally create and submit again.
Do it again.
Exactly. So it's just,
Mhm.
and the same thing for, you want to do the same thing for the client debits. So once you have created and submitted, come back to the post feature, mark the ones that you sent off successfully, click the post button, and that tells the system that you finished and removes them. Also, when you go in and do this under the client direct debits, as soon as you click post, those items that you selected, as we discussed a little bit earlier, the monies that were generated for each of those is automatically applied to those debit devices, also removing them from the invoicing area.
Okay.
And that's it. That's all there is to it. So again, this area was designed to be done at the end of the business day. Very quick and easy to create your files, submit them to the bank, to NatPay, and you're done.
Okay.
And that is it.
Well,
And of course, reports in the back office. These are going to be all your enterprise level reports. You know, the reports that we have seen under the company level, on the client level, those are going to be specifically for the company that you're working with. All of the reports that we have in the various categories here are going to be consolidated on an enterprise level. Either as a PEO, it's going to consolidate data by EIN. In an ASO, it's going to give you total numbers broken down by client. Okay, and as we discussed a little bit earlier, the consolidated federal taxes versus the company level federal taxes. This is going to show you taxes, total taxes for all of the companies in your enterprise, where the company level is going to show you a breakdown of the employee totals for the client company you're working with.
Right.
Okay. So that's the back office core functionality. Do you have any questions on what we went over today?
No, it makes more sense to me now.
Good. Perfect. Perfect.
So
the first thing I'd like you to do is tomorrow flesh out the structure page for your enterprise. Put in the bank account numbers. Send me an email when you've done that, because I'll take those numbers and I'll create the necessary vendors for you so that you can see that client sweeps item when you're creating your products and services. And then we can get you moving forward with structuring your back office and getting your billing ready.
Okay. So I'm sorry, what is it that you want me to send to you?
Okay, so let's go back to, let me return here. We'll go back to the main list. For your enterprise, fill out the enterprise structure page. So make sure your bank accounts are all set up and everything like that. Send me an email once that's done, and I will take this data and I will create the necessary items that you need to go forward, specifically the client sweeps vendors, so that you can add that to and select it for your products and services when you're creating your billing items.
Yep. Actually, I did just do that right before our phone call, so
awesome.
Should all be done.
Perfect. Then I will send you an email tomorrow.
Perfect. Yeah, that should be good, and then I'll get going on creating all that other stuff.
Perfect. Well, then, do you have any other questions that I can address for you today before we end the session?
How what if we need a new enterprise? Is that something we can do, or do you have to do that?
We have to do that. So if you need another enterprise, contact us and we will create one of those. It doesn't take very long, and we'll copy from one of your existing so that you have some baseline data, and then you can customize as necessary.
Okay. I don't see that we need one right now, but I was just wondering.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What about now? I did enter a payroll in here for this week
Okay.
before. How does, is that going to show up in the back office somewhere at some point, or is that just
If
not,
you,
because I already ran it?
for the companies, it will show payables that are generated, and once you've fleshed out the, it won't show any kind of employee direct deposit file yet. Once you've fleshed out the business rules, or not the business rules, but the products and services, once you've done your client billing schedules and created your invoice, everything else falls into place.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay, I think that's all I have then.
All right. Well, then we
Awesome.
will sign off for the day. If you